On this question, they're asking you which of the following is a factor to the 15a squared plus 9a minus 6. Now, in other words, they're asking you to factor this, but why don't they actually give you the complete factored form? Because if they did give you the complete factored form, then you could technically cheat by distributing this binomial time whatever binomial they give you here to see if it actually verifies to give you this. So what they're saying is factor this, and then which of the following is a factor of your answer. Okay, so let's just take a look at the quadratic trinomial and let's factor it. Well, let's begin by pulling out a GCF. Okay, so a GCF would be the GCF of 3. You could pull out the GCF of 3, and what would be left on the inside? Well, if you pull out a 3 from a 15, it would be a 5 with an a squared left over. If you pull out a 3 from a 9, you'd have a plus 3 with an a right there. And pull out a 3 from a negative 6, that'd be a negative 2. So we pulled out a 3. Now we need to continue factoring, if possible, on the inside. Now this a value is 5, so that means I have to do that multi-step process on factoring. Okay, so let's not forget about the 3 that's out there, the GCF that we pulled out already. But let's begin by doing a times c. So step 1 is to multiply a times c, giving you negative 10 as an answer. And then step 2 is to think of the multiples of negative 10 that combine together to give you the b value, which in this case is positive 3. So how could I get negative 10? It's either negative 1 times 10, negative 2 times 5, negative 3 doesn't work. That's it. Those are the only 2 ways of doing it, besides changing the signs. So let's just ask ourselves, if I combine 10 and negative 1, that gives me 9. Is this b value 9? No, it's not. So that one cannot be it. If I combine negative 2 and 5, does it give us the positive 3 that's right here in the middle, the b value? The answer is yes. So what is step 3 on this multi-step factoring method? To rewrite your blue quadratic trinomial as a polynomial, replacing your b value, which in this case is 3a, with these two numbers, negative 2a plus 5a, because negative 2a plus 5a is the same thing as 3a. Again, step 3 on this process is to rewrite it 5a squared, but instead of this value of positive 3a, I'm going to rewrite it as these values right here, negative 2a plus 5a. And then I have the minus 2 at the very end, minus 2 at the very end. Again, all I did was rewrite this quadratic trinomial as a polynomial as 4 terms. I rewrote the middle term, 3a, as negative 2a plus 5a, because that's the same thing as 3a. And where did I get these numbers from? From this step 2. Okay, now why would I want to change a trinomial into a polynomial? And again, don't forget about this outside multiplication of 3, right? But the reason why I changed the trinomial to a polynomial, 3 terms of 4 terms, is so I could factor by grouping. So I'm going to take this inside, split it into 2 groups, and then factor by grouping. Okay, so since I am running out of space, again, don't forget about the outside 3. But let's split this into the first group and this into the second group. I'm going to do that right here on the side. 5a squared minus 2a space plus 5a minus 2. Okay, so our first group, what could we factor out of the first group? We're going to pull out an a. That's the only thing you could pull out, right? So you'll have a 5a left over. Actually, let me do this in a different color. You'll have a 5a left over minus 2. And then what could we pull out of the second group? There is no GCF. But for the sake of factoring by grouping, pull out something. I am going to pull out a positive 1 because that's like pulling out nothing. It stays exactly the same, 5a minus 2. Now, the next step on factoring by grouping is to pull out the common binomial in your first group and your second group. So what's a common binomial? We have the 5a minus 2 in the first group. We have the 5a minus 2 in the second group. Let's pull out that common binomial of 5a minus 2. Let's pull out that common binomial. And we have some exaggerated parentheses here. What would be left over if you pull out the 5a minus 2? The a would be the only thing left over. So I have my a right there. And again, if I pull out the 5a minus 2, the plus 1 would be the only thing left over. So of course, this is the factored form, but with exaggerated parentheses. Let's write it with the correct size parentheses. We have the 5a minus 2. We have the times a plus 1. And don't forget about that outside 3 that I originally pulled out with the GCF. Let's put that out here in the front. So we have a 3 out there in the front as well. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the completely factored form of that original question they gave us, that 15a squared plus 9a minus 6. Now, again, that should be your answer, but they're not going to write that answer because you could technically distribute and kind of cheat, and you'll be able to answer it without factoring. So, which one of the following is a factor? Well, is 5a minus 2 a factor? Yeah, it's right there, 5a minus 2. So this is definitely an answer, okay? A minus 1, nope, it's supposed to be a plus 1, so that's not it. 5a plus 2, no, that's not it. None of these are factors? No, this was a factor. So that's it. That is your answer. That's how they're going to ask it on the final. I hope you guys get it.